Resolution 838, the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Burgess, and a member of the opposition will each control 5 minutes. The chair recognizes Dr. Burgess from Texas.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in support of my amendment that would prohibit the Environmental Protection Agency from utilizing a Title 42 special pay authority. There is no rationale for this authority to exist. It is time that the authorizers in Congress stand up for their prerogatives and act as a check on the executive branch when it invents claims to new powers to which it has no right. Mr. Speaker, this is not just my sentiment. In 2012, the Government Accountability Office conducted a study on the EPA's use of Title 42 Special Pay Authority. In that study, multiple instances of irregularities were found. Entry-level scientists were hired at much higher than what would be the expected GS pay level. Why would we allow the EPA to continue to use a program when it has clearly and repeatedly demonstrated that it is a poor steward of American tax dollars? Mr. Speaker, not only has there been a report that highlights the abuse of the program, but a subsequent study was undertaken by the EPA's Office of Inspector General that found that the EPA did not demonstrate a need to use this special pay authority. In fact, there was no shortage of qualified applicants for those positions. Even more alarming, the Inspector General found that the EPA did not provide any convincing justification for its continued use. Recent college graduates with a chemistry degree have been hired onto the staff of the EPA at rates higher, much higher than the GS level would indicate. This is not for what the program was intended. It is time for Congress to exercise the proper authority and not allow agencies to ignore congressional intent. That's why this amendment should be adopted, Mr. Speaker. I urge colleagues to support the amendment and show the American people that its representatives here in the People's House will properly require accountability of agencies, particularly when they overstep the bounds of congressional intent. I urge adoption of the amendment.
The gentleman reserve?
Yes.
Gentleman reserves. What purpose does the gentlelady from Maine seek recognition?
I claim time in opposition to this amendment.
Gentlelady is recognized.
This amendment would prohibit the EPA from hiring scientists using its Title 42 authority. Title 42 authority is a flexible hiring mechanism that allows agencies to attract and retain staff with outstanding scientific, technical, and clinical skills. The authority is used by the EPA, the CDC, the NIH, and other agencies that require candidates to have specialized degrees in areas such as medicine, science, and engineering. It is not always easy for the federal government to attract high-level professionals who have invested many years in school and can easily make more in private practice or even in academia. That is why the federal government allows these agencies to provide some additional funding to retain and recruit these employees. I am dismayed that the gentleman does not believe such highly specialized employees deserve the Title 42 recognition. With our nation facing crises like COVID and climate change, we should be investing in our scientists. It's a short-sighted amendment that unfairly attacks federal employees who devote their life to public service. I urge the defeat of this amendment, and I reserve.
Gentlelady reserves. Gentleman from Texas is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I would just simply underscore the fact that entry-level chemists at the EPA are hired at much higher than the GSA rate. These are not highly sought-after scientists. These are entry-level applicants, and there is no shortage of applicants for those positions, and I reserve.
Gentleman reserves. Gentlelady from Maine is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I yield to the chair of the committee, Mr. Simpson.
I thank the gentlelady for yielding. I rise in opposition to this amendment, but I arise mainly to explain what the Special Hiring Authority is. The so-called Title 42 Special Hiring Authority was provided to the Department of Health and Human Services to allow the agency to pay individuals above the GS pay scale. The authority was created to allow the agency to compete with private sector salaries for the nation's best health care experts and scientists, given the critical importance of human health and the federal role in public health. Congress then provided the EPA with this authority for the first time in 2006. Congress provided it. It was authorized by Congress in 2006, arguing that the EPA also conducts human health work such as research and assessment of chemicals. Most recently, the authority of the EPA was renewed in the fiscal year 2022 spending bill, which capped the total number of people that could be hired using this special authority to 100 people. The current authority expires at the end of fiscal year 2025. This amendment allows current individuals to continue to be paid using the special authority, but blocks any additional staff from being hired under this authority. Remember, this expires at the end of 2025, and I would hope that the authorizing committees would take it up and decide what they want to do into the future, but not do this through an amendment. I understand the gentleman's long-standing, very long-standing concerns with this authority at EPA, and I agree that appropriate oversight needs to be provided so that this authority is not abused. But I do oppose this amendment. And I yield back to the gentlelady from Maine.
Gentlelady from Maine.
I yield back.
Gentlelady yields. Dr. Burgess is recognized.
Yeah, I urge adoption of the amendment. It's important with the nation, $31 trillion in debt, that we do be good stewards of the taxpayer dollar. And the gentleman's right. I have pursued this for a number of years, but it's because it's a noble cause, and I yield back.
Gentleman yield.